before we have all these questions, because I know they're coming, you want to know what is an alpha widow. Let's talk about it. What is a alpha widow? I kind of took notes on this because I know that you're going to be asking me, what do you describe? What is it? So I gave you a depiction. I'm going to show you videos, clips, signs that you're dating an alpha widow, signs to what you need to do when you're dealing with one, how to get out of it, how to get in it, how to have a good relationship with these alpha widows. So an alpha widow is a woman who is stuck on a past lover or abuser. Now, it's tough to talk about, right? But she finds a way to always bring this up. So if it was a woman that had an amazing lover in the past, she continued to bring it up, whether they had an amazing relationship, she had an amazing one-night stand, the guy that she dealt with was a high-value guy that she met for some portion of time. It doesn't matter if it's a week. It doesn't matter if it's phone conversation and non-active, non-sexual or sexual relationships with a man of value that she finds of high value to herself. That is the top tier for her. And every man beyond that is below this tier of man. And she's comparing every man she deal with this man. And guys, the problem is this woman is hard to please. If she doesn't get over the fact that she has a traumatic relationship, a traumatic or some kind of stronghold with this particular relationship, she can never move on from this person, seeing that she's still head over heels in love, infatuated, fixated on this individual. She can never give you the honor and respect no matter where you are in status in relational to her. You will always be a little bit under this guy, no matter how great you are, right? So they're not to be thrown away. It's to be understood who they are. It's to be understood who they are, where they are in a relationship, whether it needs therapy, counseling, or you just work it through with her because you're an alpha man yourself. Ha, 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 yeah. And you ain't for the follow-up behind somebody else. You ain't trying to compete with this other man in her imagination and in her mind of how great this guy is. So you don't want to have to compete with that, right? And so we ain't trying to compete with some other man that's a figment of her imagination and of her past, which is understandable. Now, some of these women have past lovers. They could be baby daddies, and she fixated and stuck on this man. They could be past husbands. They could be an actual widow of a high-valued man that passed away. Or it could simply be a guy that she talked to over the phone that was amazing. It could have been a one-night stand that was amazing. It could have been a fling that she was with during the summer when she was in high school. It doesn't matter what it is. We got to find a way to overcome this obstacle of dealing with these type of women, these alpha widows. What is an alpha widow? An alpha widow is someone who's stuck on a past lover and or abuser. Now, this is the part that we got to make sure that we cautious with, right? So some of these women have been dealing with men that were abusers. And for example, I'm going to just bring it up. My mom was that type of woman that she found every guy she got in a relationship was another abuser. It's like somehow she just attracted these type of men. And thank God that she's no longer in those type of relationships, but it just went from relationship to relationship of the same type of guy. Even if them guys had not been that way before her, somehow dealing with her, they became these type of guys. So that's another story. But what I'm saying is the example of it is that some women can go through relationships with abusers. And because they went through this traumatic, whether this person verbally abusive, physically abusive, financially abusive, that is a trauma bond that they had with another person. And they will bring that into the relationships that they move forward with. And they can remember the time that this guy, he only gave me money to do such and such. And he only told me when I could spend the money and when I could do this when it came to the household. that's financially or verbally abusive. I ain't gonna let no man talk down to me like that no more. Ain't no man gonna talk to me no any kind of way, and they get verbally abusive because they try not to be abused verbally, right? But because of those relationships they had, they will keep replaying them, even with you, even if you soft spoken, even if you're the nice guy, even if you're the sweet guy. They can keep bringing up this abusive guy and see red flags with you, even though you're not doing anything red flag-ish. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been through it all. I done seen it all. In this short period of time of me being divorced, man, I didn't experience it all. I know what it's like to deal with the ones that had abuses from the ones who had alpha males. And they have this past lover, right? So we have to overcome these things, right? So let's keep talking about it. What is an alpha widow? An alpha widow is someone who can sleep with a high value of man that's so high value that no other guy compares to that guy in her mind. And it's sad and unfortunate because husbands will have to pay for it, right? She could be sleeping with her husband at the same time wishing that she was with the other guy. These women will go through the relationship steps with you. They would go ahead and accept the engagements. They would go ahead and get to the matrimony and the wedding. And the whole time, they still was thinking about that other guy. Now, some things are hidden, but the majority of the time, she giving you signs. So we're going to talk about the 7 signs that you're dating an alpha widow or the next segment for the next part. But right now, we just want to kind of pinpoint and so you can see who she is and how she get down. So another thing, a woman, have you ever dated a woman that couldn't get over their ex, right? And it doesn't matter who she date afterwards, they just always seem to be thinking about their ex. That he did this, he did that, my ex did it this way, this was romantic, I done that, blah, blah. It's always about the ex. And I'm going to give you the definition. It says an alpha widow is a term used to describe a woman who holds attachment and is fixated on a man who had the most impact in her life. This is when a woman can't get over a man with a high sexual value, financial value, and other things like it. But he has a high sexual value to him, who no longer wishes to have a relationship with her. A woman can even become an alpha widow after a one-night stand. Okay? So it's a guy that no longer wanted a relationship with her. And this is an alpha guy. He understands his value, he understands his worth, and because he understands and he decided to put himself first, or he decided to put some other relationship, put some other things before her, and step away, back away from her, she is in pursuit of him. She's in pursuit of having what they had together. And she can't see herself losing him, so she will pursue him even when years have gone by. She would pursue to have a man like him even when years go by. And the sad thing is, when you're dating an alpha widow, when you're engaged to an alpha widow, when you're married to an alpha widow, you understand that you're never her first. You're always her second choice. But like Jada and Will, Will even expressed how he knew that he was her second choice. Her first choice would have been Tupac, an alpha widow of a man that she cannot have, cannot be with, that was an alpha male that she desired, that she want, and she would compare, even though it's been 30 years later. She's still 25 to 30 years later, still comparing him to the alpha male that got away, to the alpha male she can no longer have. And this is the problem of dealing with alpha widows, that time can go by. If they don't heal these trauma bonds, you're still going to have to wrestle with this years to come. So guys, it's important that you understand who she is, what she is, and how to deal with the trauma in the now, because it's only going to become a problem later. If you're a good guy and you desire to be a good guy and you don't want to change who you are to try to fit somebody else's mold, and I get it, and it's perfectly understandable. We get it. We understand. It's just your options of women are going to be slim, because women, this is why men value chastity. This is why we value purity, because the more men you deal with, the more you become this, the more chances you are to become this alpha widow, right? So you could become this alpha widow with one mate, but when you're dealing with 5 guys plus, you're more likely to become this alpha widow. And you're going to compare him or whoever you deal with, to other experiences you had with other guys, right? And it's a healthy thing for us to share our relationship paths, to get to know each other, to find out what we like and don't like. There's no problem with sharing that initially. But when it becomes this competition thing, this thing that you must have because you was given this by another guy, that's when you get into the alpha widow territory. And guys innately don't want to have an alpha widow. Innately, they're not trying to compete with other guys in your mind and in your imagination and of your past. They're not trying to compete with that. So it's best that when you do keep your count low, you have minimum guys to compare it to. And because of that, you're less likely to have this trauma bond of being an alpha widow. All right. So guys, that's all I got for today. We want to define what is an alpha widow. What does she look like? And then what we're going to go into next is the 7 signs that you're dealing with one, right? Because you just need to know, am I dating right now an alpha widow? I never even heard of an alpha widow. What does that even mean? So right now we talk about the meaning of what is an alpha widow. We're going to talk about the 7 signs that you're dating her. And then we're going to bring up like the 7 things to do to help when you're in a relationship with them, to help them so y'all can get to the next level. All right, guys, that's all I got for now.